Let's count. This wasn't on purpose, by the way. I forgot that this part was in here. But let's see. So we got the cap plastic. I don't think. I wonder if we can figure out what plastic is in here. CR cap. Oh, we got a recycling O2. I don't know what that means. I'm sure you guys do. But we have O2 plastic. And then we have a code C107 TAC53 with a star. And then either, and this, I love the English language, but there's some things we need to fix. For example, we have a round object. Let me see if I can show it in here. Can we focus? Focus. No, it's not going to focus. All right. Either it's an N or a Z. Don't know. I would argue it's impossible to know because it's a round object. So no matter which way you spin it, there's a good argument for both. Anyway, so we have the cap. There's no internal lining of the cap, at least as far as I can tell. It seems to be one plastic all the way through. You have the seal, tamper sealer, the same as the cap. And then we have the bottle itself, which is one PET with the recycling logo, and then BAL3 TAC04. No idea what that means. And then we can assume that this plastic, plastic paper is a different plastic. So this one only has 3. So I guess we're making progress. It does seem odd. Well, I guess you really couldn't make a cap out of this plastic. And you really wouldn't want to make a bottle out of this plastic. So I guess it does make sense that you have to have 2. It is a shame we can't just make one, continuous plastic. See, this is, for example, this is something I would have never thought about and or cared about. However, if you came up, and when I say you, I'm using this as a general leftist. We're like, hey, we can't get rid of plastic bottles. They're way too useful. They solve way too many problems, and they're so cost efficient. But we can make it so that it's less of a pain in the ass to unfuck the problems we do make by making it so that if you have a plastic bottle, everything on that plastic bottle must be one plastic. I don't know the difficulties with that. I'm sure there's a good reason why it is that way. But that could be something you guys could push for, and no one would really, at least as far as I know, no one on the conservative side would really complain about that. As long as you guys didn't throw a hissy fit and you just explained, hey, it's difficult to separate the plastics, just drop it to 1.
Plastic of the bottle. There's the plastic of the wrapper. There's the plastic of the cap. And there's the plastic that is the seal on the inside of the cap, which that's caps. God, I'm glad it's not my job. You don't realize what a mess it is. And then I can get kind of immediately hopeless. I'm like, oh, well, fine. Now I get that it's not about evil, so I guess that's good. But it's about a problem that I would have no idea how to even approach solving.
And that is the problem with socialism. No one's being evil. Being evil requires a cost, and we're not spending money on you guys. We don't think about you that much. I kid. I'm playing it up a little bit. But no, there's a problem. You don't know anything about the problem, but you think you do. So you create a policy or you try to come up with a solution, and it doesn't take into account the realities of what's on the ground, and it just breaks the entire system. That's why socialism always fails. See Venezuela.
Solving. But that's where these people are coming up with, they're insanely intelligent people coming up with the solutions for this.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately, it's like, how long have we been dealing with plastics, and we're only really getting to the solution now, which makes me depressed, but at least we're getting there, and there are things happening to help the sorting process, to help the actual recycling process, and make something useful out of it.
So what are some other things people are doing?
The other one was that I talked about it in a video recently, which is the Korea Institute of, what is it, Machinery and Materials, known as KIM. They have a plasma torch system, which is wild to me.
But it sounds like you're just going to burn the plastic, which is a thing we do. We do that sometimes.
Yes, but it's not pyrolysis. It's not actually burning it because it's doing it inside of an oxygen-free zone. So it's not actually burning.
So like this is a torch that is not.
Again, it's funny because like he used words that I kind of know. However, it's just amusing to be like, the only thing I knew of that was the fire triangle where you need oxygen to burn stuff. It's funny. That's
not made of flame. This is made of like excited electrons.
Yes. Yeah. Electricity. Okay. So this is where it's like, are you going to power this with green energy, renewable energy, or like, how are you going to power it is the giant question mark on it. But it takes no sorting. You can just take the plastics, chuck it into the plasma torch. Labels, it can be dirty. It doesn't matter how many different types.
You're a dirty bottle. Nasty. You're so bad. You're so bad for the environment.
Peanut butter all over that thing, filled with. You could put a piece of pizza in there with it.
I don't know about that far.
Your worst enemy also goes in. Component parts.
Someone call the God Emperor.
Right. What's really cool about this process is it breaks it down into it's the benzene and the ethylene. So then you end up with the component parts that you can turn right back into virgin plastics.
Right. So you don't get plastic out of it. You don't get like a pure PET pellet. You get ethane and you get benzene. You get the virgin feedstocks.
The stuff that you need to make the virgin plastic, you get back.
Yeah.
So that's where it could potentially create a closed loop. But my concern about this one is just how much energy does it take?
Because a lot of energy. Matt, aren't we in a world where energy is going to be like really cheap in the future? The real question is, can you run it only sometimes? With any industrial application, you're building these very expensive pieces of equipment, these very expensive plants. So you want them to be operating basically 24 hours a day so that you can get the most out of your infrastructure. And that means that you have to run them at night. If you could only run them during the time of the day when electricity is basically free, which we now have in a lot of
nuclear power. Guys, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that we don't use this. It is voodoo magic. Okay? It is absurd. It is patently bonkers. It is, when you break it down, doesn't make sense that everyone doesn't have one in their neighborhood. It is wild. It is wild. I genuinely believe the future is nuclear. We just need to use the miniaturized ones that we have and just put one in like every neighborhood. And then we could just use that as you could take like 4 standard home lots and just you take one block, like one standard size block, take all the house out, put this miniature plant there, make it so that it's easy to refuel. And then you could get so many jobs just off of that, taking care of it, running it. And your electricity bill would be dirt cheap. It would be absurd. We would live in such an amazing world if electricity... If we lived in a world where we had to bring back pennies so people could pay back their electricity bill, that's the world I want to live in.
The country, because of solar, then that would be great. You'd just be like, oh, the time of the day when electricity is basically free, which we now have in a lot of the country, because of solar, then that would be great. You'd just be like, oh, well, we'll be one of the people who absorbs the free energy. Probably that's not a super cheap piece of equipment, so you'd want to be running it all the time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Where do you think we're going to get the energy from? I have my opinions.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. It's going to be a mix of things. I think my personal take is I think there's going to be a lot more, obviously, solar, wind, and other renewables.
Batteries.
I think nuclear is going to be having a comeback.
I think I made a video about this like a year ago, and I really don't want to look like an idiot. I was like, the new age of nuclear is coming. And I'm like, all right, come on, start building.
Yeah, I have talked to so many people in the nuclear industry that are doing small modular reactors, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it seems inevitable that it will start to happen. So that feels like it's going to be a part of
Yeah. Can you please pull back some of the regulations? Because some of them are ridiculous.
our base load again at some point.
SMRs, I just seen a wave of YouTube videos, and these are YouTube videos, so it's not like primary, I'm not doing primary research here, but a wave of YouTube videos that are like, actually SMRs turned out to be just as hard to build as anything else.
Because you can.
What do our aircraft carriers run off of? That's a ship. It's a ship designed to take hits from missiles. The reactors designed to fit on ships that move at very fast speeds, that tilt, that are designed to take hits from missiles. I think we can make a stationary one that we can recharge, or not charge, but we can refuel at a semi-regular basis.
You can standardize how it's built. You don't have to create a bespoke
for sure
nuclear power plant.
Right. So maybe the first one is going to be more expensive.
Yes, the first one will be more expensive because the U.S. government will not give us the plans to their reactors for good reason. National security is important. However, I'm willing to bet that HII, Huntington Ingalls Incorporated, could probably start pumping out reactors real freaking quick. The ship part seems to be one of the harder parts to get done just because of the manpower and size. The reactors seem to be pretty nailed down.
Very expensive to start out, but again, with scale, if they can survive the scaling process as a new technology, then it will get cheaper.
Yeah, I definitely want to look up how many reactors that the U.S. Navy builds every couple years, because we pump out our submarines at a crazy rate. And then we are also building new carriers. So it's probably not one a year, probably more like one every 3 years. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we could do.
And cheaper to do.
What do you think about my pet project, my pet belief, geothermal?
Geothermal, okay. I'm very bullish on geothermal.
Yes.
Yes. And part of the reason was, have you looked into the company Quaise at all?
Are they the laser one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I call it a death ray. They don't like it. Like I've talked to them multiple times, and every time I call it a death ray, they're like, please stop calling it a death ray. It's a death ray.
But like,
it's a death ray. Okay, guys. All right. Just embrace it. It's a death ray. It should be. See, this is the problem. Listen, leftists, I love you guys. Okay? Democrats, you need to work on your marketing. You need to attract more men, and having like, you have a picture of the earth and it's like splitting open and it's just like this massive laser just punching into it. Oh, I got chills. I got chills. I want to work for that company. That company kicks ass.
If you pointed it at a person, it would be a death ray.
It'd be very bad for you. But the fact that they have this technology, they could theoretically drill cheaper than we've ever drilled before. I mean, deeper and cheaper than we've ever done before.
Yeah.
That is going to unlock geothermal in places of the world where typically it hasn't been available. And that is like an endless power source for us.
I, again, don't necessarily want to just start dumping money at technology, but that sounds amazing. I want not just one of those to dig down. I don't know if you've ever seen those massive tunneling drills, but put a bunch of lasers on the head of one of those and just, it would be great. It would be so cool. I want the what is it? The gravity tunnels that you can get from one side of the planet to the other in like 7 minutes, no matter where 2 points you put it in. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, and then also combining weirdly, will fracking save the world? Geothermal's totally doable in places where the volcano is close to the surface, but that's not most places. If you can increase the surface area, you can get a lot more heat out of it. And one thing the fracking does is increase the surface area. So there's, is it Fervo or Forvo or something like that? You know what I'm talking about?
Forvo.
Yeah, they are doing this. They're basically taking the learnings of the oil and gas industry, and they're like, well, what if we didn't take oil out of the ground or gas out of the ground? We took heat out of the ground.
Yeah.
And actually that would be like entirely like even cleaner than nuclear, maybe cleaner than solar, like lower footprint than solar, just all happening down there because it's not that far down that the earth gets really hot.
Yes. Very. It's
right there. And all we need is a laser capable of ablating away the earth.
Yes.
The fascinating thing about quays is that I never understood this. The hard part of drilling is that eventually your drill bit breaks and you have to pull everything.
This is another thing that he should talk to more conservatives, right? I'm sure he can find someone who would gladly do an interview with him. Talk to more conservatives. You'd have more insight to stuff like this. I've talked to a lot of roughnecks. Very, very interesting. Very interesting people.
Thing up. Like you can't go down there to replace it. You pull everything up, hundreds, thousands of feet of this, and then you have to replace it and send it back down. And that's the thing that takes like the most of the time when you're drilling really deep.
I've actually had a chance to see their demonstration rig actually running.
They pointed it right at you. We're learning a lot of different ways to get rid of a body right now.
It's such a cool system. It's like it was running. It was kind of like, it was hard to describe. It was on a regular oil rig. I mean, a drilling rig. So it looked just like any drilling rig you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But instead of the giant spinning thing going into the earth, it was literally just a
cable,
gyrotron thing, just shooting into the earth. And it was really, really cool to watch.
What's a gyrotron?
It's actually kind of fusion technology.
Oh, okay.
It's using the fusion industry for like the reactors to kind of help create the plasma. They're repurposing that technology for quays to do the drilling.
This is why we give this comments to the conservatives that might be watching this. That's why we give grants to scientists to come up with stupid ideas, because other scientists come around and they see the progress made and go, I think I can repurpose that into something useful. It's not to say fusion technology is stupid. It just seems to be overkill when we have so many other options we can use to solve our energy needs.
Gotcha. It's like we all were convinced that fusion was going to solve all the problems, and then one day we woke up and like, what if we just pointed like one little piece of a fusion reactor at the Earth?
Yeah. Let's not worry about fusion energy anymore. Let's just
there's energy in there. We don't have to we don't have to push hydrogen atoms together or whatever it is that they're doing in fusion reactors. There's this weird also thing
deuterium, I think they use.
Feel about plastics, which is I don't know what to do about the microplastics question because I get it a lot. People are like, Hank, how bad are microplastics? And I'm like, boy, do I not know. Like what I'll say is if they were very bad, we'd know. We are actually pretty healthy on this sort of like scale of humans over the time humanity's been here. So it's not like lead. We're not experiencing lead-like effects from microplastics. It's orders of magnitude less significant than that. But recycling plastic does not make microplastics go away.
Unfortunately, no. That problem's going to be with us forever. Unfortunately,
unless we really get back to our roots and we're like, cotton was good enough.
The fact that we found microplastics in Antarctica makes me go, there's no hope for getting rid of microplastics.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hope for getting rid of microplastics, but it's all dose, Well, one thing that I do think about microplastics is that what it feels like to me is that our ability to detect these things has increased. And so it feels like we're constantly discovering microplastics in places they never were. But we're actually testing places we've never tested. And that includes arterial plaque.
That's a huge problem. a lot of the things in nuclear, right? If I try to have a conversation with your average person about it, one, I'm surprised at how little they know. Of course, I'm a nerd, and I've been watching, Hank Green and Kyle Hill and uh, was it Dennis from Smarter Every Day? I guess I'm a little bit more into this stuff than I realized when I first started my job. But trying to explain to someone what zero is, and like what you need to be worried about, but then compare that to the reaction we have, it creates a very uh, what's the word? It seems inconsistent because we want to keep problems as small as possible. So when there's uh, a small spill, like a meaningless spill, like I promise you, like if this spill happened, I wouldn't actually care about rolling around in it and then just washing my clothes in my washer and dryer when I got home. Like we're talking about that small of levels. um, but we treat it like it's this big production. So it's the juxtaposition of saying, "Hey, this isn't a big deal," but then treating it like a big deal. So from the outside observer, it looks bad, but it's nothing. But then, like when big, like something you should be concerned about happens, right? So like the Fukushima power plant in Japan, that's an issue. Like that needs to be addressed. But like when it's a problem, we dress one way, and then when it's not really a problem anymore and we're still dressing the same way, I think it gives off a wrong impression. I think it really, I don't think it helps. But what do I know? I'm just a nerd. I It's better to be safe than sorry, but it's overkill.
And testicles and Antarctica. We just haven't been looking. So the idea that like the millennials all have the microplastics the way that Gen X had the lead is like, well, Gen X probably also had.
They didn't just have lead. They had asbestos. They had alpha particles from all the cigarette smoke that they were breathing in. Like, you can't just remember. We are exchanging one problem for another problem. That's what we've been doing since the Stone Age. Okay? Are microplastics good for you? Probably not. Are they better than everything else that we've had so far? Probably. Absolutely. And that's what we're working on.
Had the microplastic. They just didn't know how to look for it. But maybe less. I mean, I think textiles are probably a bigger contributor to microplastics than people would think. You think it's from drinking out of bottles, but it's from wearing. It's from wearing.
It's definitely got to be the clothes that we're wearing. Yeah,
it's so dusty.
On that, like most of the polyesters, that's kind of a PET kind of plastic, from my understanding. It's like, and so you got companies like Carbios in France that are their Enzymatic system for breaking plastics down is just, I can't stop reading about Carbios. I just love the whole enzymatic idea of taking biology and like using it to break plastics down. And it's the same thing. They can break it down back to the component parts to make brand new PET. So you could make you could take a shirt, recycle it, and
throw it into a vat with a bunch of enzymes.
Yes. Yeah. But their process truly is a kind of a closed loop potential for a closed loop system.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping they can make a go of it.
There's always in my head this tension between technology and regulation where we could say, this is a wild sentence. So in the Bible,
okay, you're starting there.
I only know about this because it's used as an example of like an anachronistic thing from the Bible, but like it's a sin to mix different kinds of fibers. I don't know what this means. If it's like you wearing wool with cotton, I don't know what linen with wool. Or if it's like spinning wool and linen together, I don't know. What I know is that there's this thing in Leviticus, but like we could pass a similar regulation that's like, look, you have to have all of the fibers in your clothes.
That's essentially the argument I was making with the plastic bottle. The only question is, will that make things too expensive? Like, who are you helping? Who are you hurting? That's always my biggest concern. I want everyone to have my quality of life all around the world. Yes, I'm America first. Make make America first, or make America great again. But it doesn't mean at the expense of everyone else in the world. If it comes to it, yeah, absolutely. I will save the life of one American over the lives of 10,000, Guatemalans or whatever. However, I'm not, if there's nothing to be gained, I don't want to just hurt random people. I want everyone to have amazing lives. So yeah, does it drive up the cost, and does it prevent other people from living great lives?
Be the same kind of fiber so that we can chuck it all in the same vat, or you need to stop using certain kinds of plastics in labels so to sort of make the recycling process more efficient. But like, good luck doing that in the free market. America.
I mean, that's one of the things I find interesting about the Carbios story in France, because France is actually doing, you can do the stick or the carrot. Like, you can tax virgin plastics to make them so expensive that you want to use recycled plastic, or you can use the carrot. You can incentivize, please use this recycled plastic. We'll give you some tax rebates, that kind of thing. And France is taking that approach where they've helped to fund Carbios. They've given it something like 40+ million euros to try to kind of build it up. And then they're incentivizing companies that manufacture with plastic for every ton of recycled materials they use, they get 1,000 euros or something. I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but they're incentivizing companies to do that. Yeah. And because that's in place, Carbios has actually been starting to get companies signing up.
So there's a couple problems with that. One, like I said before, I prefer the bounty method. Hey, what's your goal? Oh, you're trying to achieve that goal? We like that goal you're trying to achieve. When you achieve it, here's a big, massive lump sum for achieving it. Also, all your competitors know about this as well. Good luck. The other thing is the incentive programs. Listen, if we lived in a great world full of good people, incentive programs would be amazing. There's the story in India when the British ruled it. There was massive problems with snakes. So they're like, well, to get rid of the snakes, we'll put a bounty on their head. Every snake you kill and you bring to us, we'll give you $1 or whatever the amount was. Sounds good until people realized, like, hey, this is a really good way to make money. So they just started breeding the snakes. So the problem actually got worse. I'm not saying that's what's happening here. That's just something that's something you always have to try to navigate around when you do stuff like that.
So it's like, they're getting the proper support from the government to try to let them kind of get their sea legs and be able to walk on their own eventually.
Right.
Without that support, it probably would go nowhere fast. So
right. That was true of solar, and now we're in a world where solar is cost competitive. Like we lived through that. You and I did. We're old enough to remember when solar power was something that was for space and nowhere else, Exactly. The thing about about sort of using the tools of biology to do our work for us. That's so.
Was what we did to get solar power to that level worth it, though? What opportunity cost was there in doing that? Was there something else we could have been doing? I'm not going to blame the incentives of solar panels for the ridiculous debt that America is in. But was that debt worth the negative outcome that will result from having it? I think that's yet to be seen. I'm not going to say it's negative. I'm just going to say I'm neutral on it.
So powerful it scares me, but I think is a big part, like a piece of the future that's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
We have way more control over those systems than we once did. And I always like to say, if you ask a scientist to make wood, they'll just laugh at you. Like there's there are things that nature just does constantly. Oh, like our bodies are full of things that are way too complex for us to ever create in a laboratory. Like from top to bottom, all of it is impossible to make, but nature is making it like crazy. And the best example is wood, which just seems like that we put that in fires to like, it matters to us so much.
supply and demand is a bitch.
That we use it to heat up marshmallows, but like really truly a miracle substance. You know, if it didn't exist and then we made it in a laboratory, it would be extremely big news to have made such a lightweight, strong material, especially if we could make it at the scale that nature makes it for us.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what we've been talking about are also systems that are going to require massive scale, public support, that kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever thought about this from a different angle, which is like, what could you do from an individual point of view? But like there's a company also from France, ironically, called Polyfloss that I came across a couple of years ago. They have a recycling machine that you can buy for yourself.
What?
It's wild.
You just plug it in?
Basically. The first one they created is larger. It would fill kind of...
Excuse me. 3D printers would like to have a word with you. Printers as in the people, not as in the machine. I mean, the machines, obviously, but... Yeah. Honestly, that's the future right there. Get it energy cheap, get everyone access to the internet, get everyone 3D printers, get renewable plastics or whatever. Make the demand for plastic so high that recycling it becomes valuable. I'll give you a trick. You may not have learned this on the left, and you may not know this, or you probably know this on the right, but in case you don't. How can you tell if something is good for the environment to recycle? They pay you to do it. If you can make money recycling it, it is a good thing for the environment to recycle. That's how you know. So you make the demand for plastic so unbearably high that recycling plastic becomes unbelievable, right? You want to talk about getting rid of microplastics. Well, you make the value of plastic so high that people are sifting it out of the ocean. Obviously, that's not going to be the best way to do it, but that's what I mean. You make demand for plastic so high that, it becomes cost effective. This floss thing that he's going to talk about seems to be a really good way, especially with 3D printers. 3D printers, electricity, internet, and all of a sudden you drive the demand for plastic up, that people will start paying you to recycle it. That sounds like an amazing world to me.
Like the room I'm in, it would be larger, but its only cost, I think it was like 18,000 euros, and it was meant for humanitarian uses, local communities, because it's basically like a candy floss machine, like a cotton candy. So
but for plastic?
PET, PETG, different kinds of plastic. It can take a whole bunch of kinds of plastic. You put it in there and it just spins out this like real fibrous, like lightweight material that you could use for insulation. And it has a really good R value. You could compress it and make sheets of plastic that are really rigid to help build a house. It's like there's all these different uses that you can come out the other side with it, whatever works for you. And just this past year, they came out with a system that is like literally a desktop-sized version. And this is not something that you'd have in your kitchen. This is something that like a maker, like somebody who's making stuff would want.
I'm sorry. Here's how to determine who has one of these. So, do you like Linux? How do you feel about trains? Okay. Well then, do you play Satisfactory? Yeah? Okay. Do you see spreadsheets as a fun game? Yep. Okay. Here's your plastic floss machine. Go nuts.
But again, I love the idea that like where everybody's zigging this way and they're zagging that way. Like everybody's looking for
consumer
the
product
solution.
Yeah.
And Polyfloss is like, how about the little guy? Like, what if we put the power into the little guys?
What if the big
supply and demand, you can change one or the other or both to get similar results, or to get the results you want.
Biggest nerd in your neighborhood was like, I need everybody's plastic.
Yeah, exactly. Your neighbor's like, I will take your waste plastics here.
That's
like,
awesome.
That's literally what this could be. It's very cool.
Never heard of that before. That's so cool. The thing that making my video made me feel was, okay, what we need to do is use less methane so that we're producing less ethane, which is going to drive up the price of virgin feedstocks for plastic and make recycling more cost competitive. And also, if it's more expensive, we'll do it less. If it's basically free to make plastic, then we're going to use a lot of plastic. Then that led me to a place of not feeling particularly hopeful, because how are we going to use less methane in a world where it's a lot cleaner than coal and oil? We're not going to turn on the nuclear tomorrow. We in America have a leadership structure right now that's very like, yes, the way that it was done in 1989 was the best possible way, and that's how we should do it forever. Kind of vibes.
Yeah, let's not look backwards.
There's
Let's not look backwards. Let's figure out policies that take us backwards.
The sort of the look at like can some kind of regulation do this, or can some kind of like difference in market force do this, versus is technology going to do this? I think it's going to be a combination of all those things. In the US, I don't know that we're going to have a maybe, time continues to pass, we're going to have a strong incentive-based structure for recycled plastics. But the technology is going to keep getting better. That's going to make it more cost competitive. And there will be a future where we're not burning natural gas the way we are, where we're not fracking shale the way we are right now. That's going to happen. It needs to happen 10 years ago, but it's going to happen. I don't know what the timeline is, but eventually we'll get there. And we're all going to be very happy that we...
No, we won't. What's going to happen is this. The demand will peter out, and the factories that are around, or not factories, I'm sorry. This applies to a lot of things, but the value of using the product will always remain. What will happen is its share of the market will shrink while everything around it grows. So you won't get less production, you'll get less market share.
Invested in these plastics recycling technologies.
I'm right there with you 100%. It's just a matter of time before we hit that point.
Give me a year.
Give me a year. Oh my God. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be longer than a decade.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be, it's going to be a while.
This is going to be a wild time. I cannot wait to watch an Undecided with Matt Farrell from the year 2040 and see what the hell kind of crap we're talking about then.
I try to remain optimistic about where we're heading, even though the world is chaos right now. It's like, I am hopeful that, fast forward 10 years, we'll be I'm hoping that there's an amazing stuff that has happened and we've made some significant advancements.
And it helps having been in this for as long as I have. I've been writing in the green technology space for more than 20 years now. And it helps to have seen progress be made, even if it has not happened fast enough.
It's moving. It is. Things are happening.
Yes.
Wish it was going faster.
Yeah.
But it is moving.
Don't think I'm saying that I think we're doing a great job. But it's moving.
We're still kind of getting a failing grade, but we're making progress.
Yeah.
Compare what we do to every other country in the world, and then get back to me. Germany shut down their freaking nuclear power plants to buy more fossil fuel from Russia. What? It's silly. This is a silly conversation. I'm not saying they shouldn't push to have America do better, right? It's America. Dedicate your time to what you believe is the right thing to do. But compare us to every other, you're not doing anything good for the environment is if you put in environmental regulations so strict that the product goes to China where they have no environmental regulations. Does that make sense? Right? If you have a system where you're already capturing 50% of the pollution, and then you put in more regulation to try to capture 90% of the pollution, but it's no longer attainable or cost effective, then that company is just going to move to China. And now you've actually increased pollution 100% because they're going to go from capturing 50% of their pollution to 0% of their pollution. Hopefully you've tracked those numbers. But yeah, you have to be careful with things like this. It's really hard to change demand. When people get comfortable with something, they don't want to give it up.
Yes, yeah, 60% is better than 40%. They're both failing, but like they're different from each other.
Jeez.
I have this great shirt that says I create new problems by solving problems. And I'm like, this is not just like how I feel about people, it's how I feel about myself specific.
Are the new problems better or worse than the old problems?
I think I'm a little more optimistic than you are then, because it's like when you look at the prices of like solar is now the cheapest form of electricity ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
battery prices over the past like 10, 15 years have dropped like 90%. It's like the rate at which the technologies we need are dropping in costs is astonishing, and it's not slowing down. And so when I look 10 years out, it's like where we are now, imagine where it's going to be in 10 years. It's going to be bonkers how cheap solar and batteries for your home are going to be at that point. That
it's going to be limited by like installation costs.
Yes.
Yep. We're just going to roll it out on the yard. We're just gonna...
No joke. One of my neighbors has actually kind of done that. He's got those like little solar panels that you get from like the battery brands, like they fold up. Yeah. He's got those just like draped all over a shed in his backyard. He's got them draped over his fence. And
they're
like,
so
wow,
cheap. Yeah.
Yes.
For the low, low price of human suffering. I wish I knew or cared enough. How much pollution was released in the making of those that is, in the long run, worse than the amount of fossil fuels that was prevented from being used?
They're just everywhere in his backyard.
Just charging up a battery for something, maybe. We're going to use it eventually. Energy hoarding over there.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, everybody, you're missing out if you're not following Matt. So go check it out and subscribe. And I'll link the video that I referenced in the description. You're going to learn more than he told us about the stuff he was telling us about. Thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit of time.
Really appreciate it.
He is fantastic. I also highly recommend you watch his stuff. I love it.
Appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Okay, just to finish this video up, I do have to share when I was in South Texas.
All right, I think that's good. This has been day 7 of Talking Politics Every Day. I'm your host, DC Robs, reminding you, DC Robs. You have a good one.